The SC Conference is dedicated to providing a harassment-free conference experience for all who attend. The conference does not tolerate harassment in any form. To assure that there's a CARES program, that we'll learn about next. Welcome to SC21 TV. I'm your host, Charla Bokikio. We are live at the SC21 TV news desk, meeting leaders in the world of high-performance computing. With me now are Barb Fossum and Jay Lofstead with the CARES program. Welcome, Jay and Barb. How are you both doing?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's great.
Great.
I mentioned the CARES program in the intro, but really there's more to it than just the CARES program. It's CARES SIG HPC, or SIG HPC CARES, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
I'm going to say what the acronyms stand for, and then you can both expand a little bit on that. So the SIG HPC CARES is the Committee to Aid Reporting on Discrimination and Harassment Policy Violations.
Yes.
All right, so now that that's out of the way, let's have more proper introductions here. What do you guys do for your day jobs before we really delve in? And give me I don't know, an interesting fact about you. Go ahead, Barb.
Sure. So my day job is I'm a consultant, and basically what I do is support research, particularly research grants, people who already have received money and they need some help and support in making sure that all of their programs are initiated. I've been doing that for a couple of years. I've worked in university and funding agencies for the rest of my life. I guess the only interesting fact I can think about myself actually is that I have the most adorable sheepdoodle in the world.
I have a golden doodle myself, so I can relate.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Jay, how about you? We've been here before.
We have been here before.
Thank you for coming back in a different subject matter.
Yes, so just to recap for those that have missed the previous segments, which you should go watch.
Yes.
I am at Sandia National Labs, and my work focuses around a core that is data management, and I do things like workflows and I/O and storage and reproducibility, and that's kind of the core, the technical work that I do. But really the part of my job that I dedicate probably the most time to is reaching out and doing a lot of community development, particularly with students. And this CARES program is a way to help make sure that this environment is really inviting for all of these different student groups.
Okay, so talk to me about what exactly is the CARES program, and how do these acronyms all kind of fit together to benefit all of the attendees here at SC21? I don't know who wants to start.
So the conference itself is sponsored by ACM, which is the Association for Computing Machinery. And they've set policies about discrimination, harassment, that covers all kinds of behavioral issues, inappropriate behavior, and that can be bullying or any other kind of harassment. They also have policies about plagiarism and research ethics, and that's organizational wide. They also have small special interest groups. SIG HPC is a special interest group for high-performance computing, and its membership includes any subset of the community that's interested in that topic. And what they wanted to do within SIG HPC was to make sure that the conferences that they co-sponsor and sponsor are responsibly receptive to all of the ACM policies.
Gotcha. So it's just a way to kind of just make sure that these policies that they already valued are really happening in real time at the conference.
That's true.
Okay. Anything you'd add, Jay?
So one thing that I'd like to kind of expand on a little bit is one of the ways I try to explain it to people is that if somebody feels like they're in an uncomfortable position, or they've been a victim of one of these various policy issues, or really anything that at a lot of companies and events, there are like safe spaces where you can go talk to somebody. By us wearing these badges, that says that we are people who have been trained and are willing to help. So we are really like a portable safe space that can go to you, and we can find a way to try to confidentially talk and try to help you resolve whatever issue it is you're experiencing.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. How many people are involved? How many badges can we, could we expect to see this week?
There are 13 members of the committee who've all been selected from this community. They're well known, they're well respected.
Yeah.
They've been selected for their interest in this topic. And we've tried to keep it balanced between all the backgrounds, the genders, we have some industry representatives as well, so that we try to cover every possible point of view.
Is this program something that you expect to continue, like to grow to where we have more people wearing these badges at future conferences, or is this pretty much what we can expect next year, for example?
So this is a pilot at SC21. This is something we wanted to get started, and this being the big event of the year for our community, we wanted to really try it out here. But the goal is for any event that has a SIG-HPC association, we want to be able to have any SIG-HPC or a CARES representative that is there, make sure that they are visible and known, so that should anybody have one of these policy violations or other issues, that they know, hey, here's somebody that I know I can trust to speak to confidentially to try to get help with what I'm doing.
Gotcha, I understand.
Yeah, so we've already identified several other conferences, like I believe PPOC was one. I know I'm looking, since I spend a fair amount of time with HPDC as well, it's another one. And so any event that has SIG-HPC connection is where we will be spreading out after this event to make sure that we have as much reach as we can get.
Right, so in other words, and I think you already articulated this is not just an SC program, it is through ACM.
Yeah, this is actually a totally separate policy and group. And we work closely with the inclusivity portion of the SC
program. Which I just spoke to the folks this morning about the inclusivity.
Right, and I work closely with HA to help kind of balance the things that are ACM structured versus really conference related.
Right, and it sounds like CARES and the inclusivity initiatives are really working together in a really complementary way.
We try to.
Yeah.
Yes, we try to make sure that we have chosen the best people for whatever the particular problem or report is about.
Good.
So the Inclusivity Committee's job is to try to make an inclusive environment, and the SIG-HPC CARES group is there to try to help if there's some way that that's not achieved.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way that we work together, is we end up having them try to build a good, safe environment, and then we're there to help should there be a problem.
To solve any of those issues.
Yeah, and we also can, we go back and forth since we work together and share ideas about, oh, well, we've had issues with this in the past, maybe we can change how that's working, and just share, oh, we've had people report these things, how do we set up a safe space for them to be able to talk to somebody without being recognized, or those sorts of things.
Right. So how do you think that CARES raises awareness and increases accountability for folks? I mean, a lot of it's just inherent in what you already said, but anything more specific that you'd add?
I've spent a lot of time, I mean, first of all, we have promotional materials that are available at the SIG-HPC booth. Branis introduced us in his plenary session, and we have some postcards that are informational, and I've made it a point at this conference to go around to as many different communities that, for example, industry or exhibitors or all of the people in the technical program are aware of the program, just so that they realize that if anybody says anything to them, the student volunteers, I did a presentation with them. So the goal this year has been to get the word out that this exists.
Right.
There hasn't been any real, targeted area that we thought there was a need to really cover. Just everybody know that we're here.
Yeah, and it's a little preventative measure, it seems.
Well, it raises a lot of awareness that, hey, guess what? This does happen.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
And to remind people that the policies exist and why we want to make sure that it's safe for everybody. It's not just that we have a particular agenda, it's that this is actually the society's policy, and that a lot of people forget that.
Yeah.
And just by us being there and being available and reminding people that these policies are there, we hope to deter people from potentially violating them, so that it's kind of like being a police officer. They shouldn't have a ticket quota, but just their presence being there will reduce crime.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of our goal as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And a police officer who's also going into the classroom and saying, and this is what we do.
Right, raising awareness, all of that this is not acceptable behavior.
Right, exactly.
And you mentioned some of those unethical behaviors like plagiarism, misrepresentation, coercion, abuse, things like that. Would you add to any other issues?
Bullying's a big one.
Bullying.
And it's actually, we've had some issues, and we've actually had some discussions with people this week. And what they choose to do after we've given them the information and discussed with them is up to them. It's not our decision. It's our job to support them in whatever they want to do and help them get the resources that they want to pursue whatever avenues they want.
Yeah.
But one of the issues, so I'm the Students at SC chair this year, and my way that I finally convinced my management to allow me to come was to remind them that we don't have enough student volunteers to serve all the needs of SC. And because we have students coming in, and then we have some of the top, most famous people in the field that are going to be here, if they ask a student to do something, the student feels like they can't say no. So I need to be here so that the students can, and we've told them, just say, I need to check in with student headquarters, and then they'll contact me, and then I'll go talk to whoever it is, and that way we don't have this power imbalance.
Yeah.
And so those are the kinds of things that we want to be able to address, because those are subtle, but they happen fairly regularly, and we want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and don't feel obligated to do things they don't want to do, and that they're comfortable always being here, rather than saying, yeah, I can't go to SC because I'm going to get roped into things by people that I may have to work with in the future to do things I'm not really comfortable doing.
Yeah, excellent. So each of you volunteer in multiple ways. Tell us about, and you've already talked about some of your current assignments. Do you have any other assignments with SC, Barb?
Yes, my past commitment for the last couple of them that I've worked with has been working within the technical program to make sure that the composition of the people who are selecting the content for the conference are well represented, that the balance of those particular committees is, equally not just everybody's best friend, and that there's, some variety of gender and
some
international versus, so that we do create as diverse and inclusive an environment, which is something that hasn't been addressed a whole lot in the past, and it really does makes a big difference in the selection of the things that are presented, as well as the comfort level and the voices that are heard within that community.
Yeah, so it's definitely time for that to happen, which is wonderful. I love that. So looking ahead to next year's conference and beyond, what do you see generally in the world of HPC, maybe personally for projects you're working on, or just this program? Any thoughts on what you're looking forward to next year?
Go ahead.
For me,
you have plans to expand.
So for me, I have multiple jobs next year currently. So I'm going to help with the student volunteers. So I'm going to maintain that portion of my connection with the students program. But I'm also working as the new volunteers chair for next year, which means that people have applied, and then it's my job to help them find committee roles. And so that's part of the inclusivity committee for SC. So part of what I'm going to continue to do with the inclusivity committee is to make sure that we get that connection with students working well and make that work better. So that's kind of some of the things. That's kind of on this side. There's lots of other things.
Of course.
We don't have 3 hours.
Right, exactly. We do not have 3 hours. Anything you're looking forward to next year at the conference in particular?
Well, I certainly want to continue the relationship between CARES and the conference, and make sure that we have representation within the committee in terms of the kinds of interactions to keep the lines of communication open. and to just basically kind of brainstorm with them about what the best way might be to do something to eliminate some of these issues.
Yeah.
And like for the last couple of years, I've been helping to maintain the population of the technical program participants, and I enjoy doing that.
Yeah. So you'll continue that in that capacity next year.
Provided they ask me.
Great. Good, good. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I'd like to thank you for helping us spotlight this this particular image. I hope it helps broaden the audience that we have to make people aware of the fact that the policies exist and we're here to help you.
Right. And to reiterate, if someone is experiencing anything, what would you say?
So for me, the one thing that I would add kind of in this whole area is that if you're having an issue, look for somebody with one of these badges. And if they have one, then that's somebody that you know is safe to talk to.
Yeah.
If you'd rather talk to somebody via email, we have an email that you can send to as well. And if you go to the SIG HPC Cares website, we have all the information there.
Okay.
And during the conference time, we have the in-person people that are both wandering around doing whatever their conference duties are, as well as being in the inclusivity office. But we also have people monitoring that email the entire time the conference is open, so that should you have an issue, either responding via email or visiting somebody in person, you'll get some help immediately.
Great. So the SIG HPC website has the email address.
Look for SIG HPC Cares on your favorite search engine and go there, and they'll have the email address if you need anything. And that email address will work at any time, not just during a conference.
Great. Good to know. All right. Thanks both of you for chatting and telling us a little bit more about this program. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the rest of you, stay tuned for the latest in high-performance computing from the SC21 TV News Desk. Make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and plan to attend next year's conference in Dallas in November if you can. I'm Charla Bokikio.